ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this edition of Facts and Realities of Education. Since last week, we have been talking about preparation for official exams. When we talk of exams, we are talking about end of year, end of the academic year. And you know, like we said last week, end of academic year, they are normally characterized by official exams which take the candidate or the students or the pupils to a superior class. In this edition of the program, we will continue in that same light, looking at what should be done to prepare for this exam. We know this is the time when most candidates and students, pupils, they are so busy preparing for exams. But what should they do precisely? And when we talk about education, there are three concrete elements, three concrete partners that participate in education for the success of the enterprise that we call education in general. Here we talk about the parent, we talk about the school, the teachers, and we talk about the candidates themselves. Last week we started looking at the parent, and in this edition of the program we would continue looking at the other stakeholders in this examination process. With me in the studio we have a teacher, head teacher of the English section of P. Rosa Primary Bilingual Primary School here in Douala, who will be telling us what the other stakeholders, teachers and candidates should be doing. Madam, good evening, and thank you for accepting our invitation.
Good evening, Vinicius. Good evening, televiewers of TBS. And I'm proud, I'm happy to be a participant in this program.
And we would have to indicate here that this is not the first time that she's taking part in this program. She has been a regular guest on this program. And today we'll be looking at preparing for official exams, like I said. You know, when we talk about exam, what normally happens, you were a student, a candidate at one point. I was a student, a candidate at one point, and all of us, we always go through this experience of examination that comes with fright, this stress. Why this stress during this examination period?
Yes, Vinicius, you should know exams is, when we talk about exams, we talk about assessment, we talk about evaluation, and this comes usually with that fear, that uncertainty of what will be in the exams. And you know, since it's a hidden process, it is usually what you've done in class, and the D-Day, which is the day of the test itself, is what really frightens a lot of pupils or students, because they do not know on what shall we be evaluated, on what topic or which area of our studies shall we be evaluated. But now the thing is, the student is expected to understand or to have assimilated all what has been taught.
Okay.
Yes, taught her or him throughout the year. You know, when we talk about assessment, we talk about it could be just something to know if a lesson has been understood. Yes, which is just within a day or within a lesson. And then it could be a term, it could be a few months, which is also to find see if you have understood a particular concept or
idea or knowledge.
Yes, and then another one is at the end of a formation, an end of it could be at the end of a program or a course that you followed. Yes, that probably comes with awards of certificate, and so that's why you get the names diagnostic, which is just to know if the student has understood. You have summative and formative. Summative within a short period, and formative after
life, kind of life.
Let me say, after you've acquired a certificate for a particular course.
Okay.
Now, so I still have not answered the question. So you see, when they talk about end of year exams or the final exams, that's set uncertainty for what you have been taught in the year, days by or months by or even years by. You are still not certain. Have I really covered all the syllables? Have I read through everything? You are still not certain. Is that question going to come from what I've read? Because you see, at this point now, it is where many of them they are alert. They know there is a lot that they need to go through for, or they need to read through, and now they're not certain if they still remember everything, or they are not certain if the concept was well understood. They're not certain if that question will be handled the way the assessor really wants it to be answered.
Okay, we are talking about this general stress, this general fear. But then when you look at it keenly, when we talk about exams, end of year exams, it could be a promotion exam that promotes you from one class to the next.
Really?
It could be at the end of a period, maybe a cycle. Where here we talk of common first school living at the primary section, we talk of all levels at the secondary section, A-level high school section, maybe your degree exams at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But then you discover that the fear when it comes to official exams like GCE, first school, and your defense, is the fear is not the same like in normal promotion class. Maybe you're in Form 2, you're going to Form 3, you're in Class 5, you're going to Class 6. What is the cause of this fear? Is it the fact that this candidate is not prepared for the exam? What's actually the cause of this fear? Because our main aim in this exam is to make sure that we dissolve this fear from the candidates so that they feel free approaching this exam. What can be the cause actually?
Thank you, Mr. Avina. When we talk about fear, that fear is due to so many reasons. One of the reasons is when the student has not prepared for the exams.
Okay.
Is certain or very sure he is not ready for the exams. And then the second one, the student may be ready, but now fears, what if I'm ready? And then the question comes in a way and I misunderstand it. And then the third reason is either what will be done if I fail.
Don't succeed.
Yes, if I fail. And that's the third reason. How will people react towards me if my friends are going ahead and I stay behind?
Yes.
And then what will my parents do? And then the fourth thing, should I say, the fourth thing is the reason or that fact that you spend and you have to take over another year in the same class while your friends are ahead
of you.
So that fear of uncertainty is what I say comes in different areas. So but when a student is ready, when a student has prepared so much or has read very well, has rehearsed or revised all what has been taught him or her, then you realize a student, the fear is there, but not as much as the person that has not read or is not certainly has covered all the topics in a lesson or in a particular subject.
Okay, and given to that, maybe those who are doing their official exam, that's end of cycle, maybe you are calculating that after studying for 6 years in a primary school, I come to fail my first school living, or studying for 5 years, I fail my ordinary level, all these things. Anyway, but we want to look at, today we are looking at what should be done. And we identify that we have parents, teachers, and candidates who are involved in this preparation. Let's look summarily. Last week we spoke about this, the role of parent. But summarily, from your point of view, what should parents be doing at this moment to make sure that they accompany their children who are candidates to write these official exams? Okay.
Before I answer the question, I just want to throw again more lights on that. The reason why students, some of them still fear that uncertainty.
They approach the exams with stress and fear.
Yeah, you know, in the classroom, you are familiar with your mates, you are familiar with everybody, the teacher himself. Yes. You are familiar with them, and you know, sometimes you even still, most of them, like, they know they can communicate, get up and then get erasers, especially in the primary. But now when they talk about exam with all its conditions, for the exam room, where you get into a room and probably you realize you are the only student out of maybe 40 or 50 students in a classroom from your school. And then the invigilator is somebody too that you don't know, you might not have met. You are not certain they've given you instructions. If you turn your head left or right,
you may be
apprehended. So some things like that, they make you, just the tension in the room itself is one of the fears too. It's one of the things that make it's one of the causes of that fear that makes the students to be fear. But now I will be saying, at this period, parents too do play a great role. Yeah, because you realize that parents are co-educationists. Yes, the teacher teaches in school, while the parents take the other part of it, apart from morals or apart from behavioral lessons. The parent too has to closely follow up the child.
Because last week a teacher said on this very program that a parent has about 30% of the success of the child.
Really?
The teacher has about 20%, while the candidate has 50%.
Really? Actually, I agree with his
partitioning of the responsibility.
of that. Really, when you look at it, you see that the parent at this moment, has to closely follow up the child, make sure the child does his or her homework, make sure the child does not sleep without reading, and then follows up the child's program. Probably the child has to sleep early, and then curb the manner at which the child watches or play games on all these electronics. Yes, because some of them, they come, they play around. It may not even be, some of them, they may not even have those things available at their disposal. But now they come and then they leave the house, and they're one
Playing
way or the other.
around.
Yes, and before you know it, they bring in funny attitude and they get tired. So the parent at this moment has to be behind the child. Have you read? Have you done the homework? And then at the same time, some children too could be slow to even say we have homework. Sometimes you ask, do you have any homework? Because they don't want to work. They say no.
They don't.
So the teacher too should have the parent should have the teacher's contact to call and verify. At times, if you don't even understand, because you are there to, the child too may still come to you, knowing that my father was once on the bench, can help me in the situation, can come to you and then say, please, can you help me with this problem?
I have a difficulty in this
and
subject.
if you realize you cannot, or rather you call the teacher. That's why it's important for parents to have teachers' numbers. You call the teacher, please, I saw this problem, I still don't understand, can you enlighten me a bit, let me see what I can do.
It is allowed.
This child, it's allowed. 100% allowed. And one of the things I want to hit hard on, we've had this problem. Yes, it is true in the lower classes. It's really patience. You need patience to follow up your child. Yeah, because at that point sometimes you argue, the child believes my teacher is all knowing, and you, the parent, when you start saying do like this, you say no, my teacher does not.
This.
Yes, my teacher did not say do it like that, or he did not say it like that. Now at one point you find the teachers, they get tired, and then before you see, they take the pen and then do the thing, and then send the child to just free up themselves. But now at this level where the child is preparing for an official exam, you, the parent, has to let me say, plant your feet on the ground behind that child. You really need patience. You really need to sit and then see if the child is really working the way he or she, yes, and then verify if the child passed. When you do work at home, when they go and then the work is being corrected at school, when the child comes back, verify if this thing was done the right way, or if the child passed. And if the child did not pass, it's certain they did corrections. Yes, you try to find out from the child, because at that point you are so revitalizing yourself, as well as helping the child. Yeah. So when you do that, it is preferable. Don't take the work and then do for the child. Don't let the child. Yes, don't do it for the child. Let the child not bring up a composition topic
written by the parent,
and then presents it, and then the parent does it for maybe writes it and say copy. No,
you're not helping.
You are not helping the child. Neither mathematics or things, any other thing. Talk with the child, you people discuss, and then you say verify, try it this way, explain, try. If the child does it and it's okay and has made an error somewhere, see, you tell the child, please look at this point, look at it, is it okay? Verify again, is it okay? Because that is the way they want us to educate the children. Now they want the child to bring out what that particular thing you have in you. So that genesis, they will believe that genesis, and this genesis can be assisted to grow or to develop.
All right. So that is actually what we were discussing last week when we were looking at the preparation. We really dwelt on the role parents have to do, like you are insisting. But now let's go a bit further from parents. We look at teachers. What are you teachers doing at this moment? What should teachers be doing now to help their students, their pupils? In fact, because very soon they will no longer be your pupils, they will be candidates. Yes, what should teachers be doing at this particular moment to help these candidates prepare for their exams?
There's a lot of things. There are a lot of things that teachers should be doing. First, they have been teaching, evaluating, they have been teaching, assessing from terms. Now, like that, the program was even changed and it's monthly assessment, or monthly evaluation. So, what the teacher has been doing is been teaching all this while, but now where they are preparing for these official exams, what the teacher should be doing. First of all, you know, he's an educationist. He is a researcher on what he tries to see if the children can now produce what they have in them. First, now the teacher has to teach topics that were beliefs were not understood. That's remediate the students, those that are still slow to particular topics. At this moment, is it still allowed to continue teaching? It is still allowed. There are topics that the children might not have assimilated well. So the teacher has to be to bring it back, highlight it, and then properly explain it better.
Okay.
Probably, if it is possible, change the method of
The approach.
Yes, and so the children can understand. There are some that understood from the very first day, and when they're doing it the second time, they understand, and probably they choose
level,
if this problem is given, I take this method or this other method. Yes, the teacher has to do a lot of rehearsals from things that have passed, things that were taught maybe months ago or years ago. The teacher has to, yes, that's revision, does a lot of revision exercises. Make sure he does the corrections. It is not just important, yes. When you give the children exercises, make sure when they come back you do corrections. And then when you do the corrections, let me assure you, at one point when you are doing these corrections and you are faithful to them, the children themselves, they wake up. They're so attentive or alert if you go wrong. Sometimes they even remind you, last time you did like this, and if really you did something wrong, you will adjust.
That's the problem that teachers who have sharp students in their classes, they go through. Really, if you do what you are, then you see you make lots of sharp students. You make a lot of them very attentive and active, and so they have to give lots of exercises. Now, when you talk of revision, they should be revising past examination question papers. Is that
first their lessons in class?
Okay, what they taught.
Yes, and then now when I talk about exercises, there are past exams or exercises to help them understand. And remember, I talked about remediating. Yes, it could be a particular topic you retaught because it was not well understood. Yes. So you are just teaching it so that the students should understand it better. You could give now exercises on that particular topic, as well as you should give past exam questions, yes, to the students as exercises, class exercises. When they do, you correct it together with them. And then at this time, teachers too should be advise them when you enter an exam room.
Their students.
Yes, when you enter an exam room, you should make sure you write your name first. Make sure you memorize your number, or what your numbers are usually on your acceptance slips.
Yes.
Or if it is not that, it is either laying emphasis. The teacher should be laying emphasis on occurrent points, maybe frequent questions that usually pop up. When they talk about mentors,
that's trying to insisting that they should follow the instructions of the exam. Because
after following instructions, that's going back to the class level where there are some particular topics when you teach, or some exercises when you do this particular question. You yourself, you meet them in maybe 2007, you met it in 2005, you met in 2004.
So it's likely
you lay emphasis, take note of this question. This particular question is always occurrent. So what you should do,
is it a question of this particular topic or particular question? Because
no, I'm talking what I said, my point was laying emphasis on
particular questions,
on particular occurrent points.
Or points. Okay.
Yes,
points. All right.
It may be changed or it may be modified. Yes, but the student or the pupil should know these things that these are always there. I should be very careful. If I'd been taking it laxly, I need to sit down and understand.
All right.
You understand? And then with mentors, like things that will make the children crack their minds.
Yes.
So at this point, that is why in some schools they practice this thing of morning classes and evening classes. Where in the morning classes they either do dictation or they do mentors. This is to wake up the children before they start any other lesson of the day. Yes. And so when they do that, it is for the children to get acquainted to those mental questions, because they're simple questions that probably I may ask you, and then before you know it, you fail. Because it's just
is that another method of evaluation now?
It's another method. Remember, we want the children to bring out what they have. For example, the other day I was passing around the class 6 of my school. They brought up a question. They said, I can't remember the name. Let me say if Venatius was 15 years old 10 years ago, how old will he be in 7 years to come? So the students, part of the class had found the answer, and others had found the wrong answer. And the booklet from which they brought out the questions from had answers behind, and that wrong answer was there. So when I came in, there was an argument. When I was passing it around, the children called me, "Madam, this is a problem we have." So I came in. I had to just make them understand this is past, present, and future. You just need to take it that way. We're talking in the present. Now, in the past, how old was he? 15 years. We wrote it. How long did it take for him to attain? Or how old is he at this moment?
Yes.
He has taken 10 years to reach now. How old it is? It is 25 years old. And how old will he be in the future?
Yes.
Or in 7 years, to come? How long will it take? It's 7 years. So you add it makes 32. But now most of them had given 22.
Okay.
So wrong calculation. What did they do? They took 15 years plus 7 years. You see.
Okay.
And then now, just to like make you understand, it baffled some teachers because after they're taking it again, since they were still like, when I had passed, I learned they were still like arguing. They took it to some teachers and they took it and they got the wrong thing too.
Okay.
So I had to come back to the class again for that same thing.
Yes.
Yes. Their teacher was not in class. So you realize things like that. Sometimes if you don't, it needs simple inferential reasoning, that kind of a thing. If you're not quick or focused, you go off immediately.
Actually,
you just think it is. I just need to add the thing and then give the answer. So that is it.
Okay. Now we are talking about teachers. You know, when we talk of this, the other partners to education, we are talking of teachers stroke the school. In some schools now, do you have meetings with parents? Maybe the school organizing sessions with students, not the teacher, but the school, to make sure that they talk about these exams. Is that what the school? What should does the school has a part anyway? School as an institution,
the school has
a part to play.
It has a part because even the parents themselves have a part. Normally, before they even go in for the exams, the parents need to assist in the registration. When I say assist, that is providing the finances.
Yes, and
yeah, because we need stamps, we need the document itself. I mean, registration fee for the exams itself. We need photographs and like that. And then another thing too is the documents themselves. So they need to produce a photocopy of their birth certificates and probably report cards. It depends on whatever the school asks from them. And you see that the school alone cannot run. It's not, should I say, unique. It's not a lone party. Yes, it is a party with the parent. It has to run together with the parent. So I cannot produce a birth certificate for a child who is not mine. Of course. Yes, probably that child has a parent, has a name, and all that. Like, so that parent has to be responsible.
But all this happened already. Maybe October, November.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. So we make sure from the beginning. Okay, we sit down the parents. Yes, we tell them what will be needed. We need this particular amount for registration. We need this this is the amount, the official amount to register for exams at the inspectorate or at the AO. We do that for you. This is what the stamps will cost. These are the type of stamps we need. So we like some sort of explain to them each detail amount. And if we are putting our transport on it, probably they go and come back. Sometimes there could be some errors. You go and then you need to come back, or you go, there is no electricity to stamp. You come back, things like that. So
is it the parents who pay? Is it not the school's responsibility?
No, that is an exam issue. Okay. It is the parent that pays for the child's exam.
Okay. Yeah. And that is still the running of the exams.
Yes. Okay. So we could add 1,000, some maybe 2,000 to the official rate of exams, because it's not one time that you will go there for one thing. There are times you go for reference if there are no mistakes. You go for correction. There are times they do change some few things and then say come up and then and update. Okay. So we sit the parents from the beginning, explain all those things to them so that they won't be disturbed. There are times too, even the schools that they will need to choose, let me say for the English subsystem, we need to talk about government schools and they talk about common entrance. These children need to choose two schools. They have a choice, maybe the government school, which is first, and the private school, which is second. They need two of these schools to put in their documents, because if they don't, on that day when they will be going for interview, they will not find their name on the list.
All right.
So we educate the parents that are like, which school is best? We don't even know which one is. They're like asking. We give them the reasons why they should choose what is best, or schools that probably are closer to them, or we give them different reasons and they make their decision.
Okay.
Their decisions. We don't make the decisions for them, but we give them other reasons to help them make their own decisions. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I was when I was talking about schools here, what I intended to ask was, is it do you have the responsibility to call the parents to tell them that your child will be writing in this center, your child will need to be there on this day, so that the parents, we had a case where a student forgot that she was supposed to write, and that was all, and unfortunately it was mathematics at the ordinary level. You know, when you failed writing these compulsory subjects, the exams, the results were cancelled. That child actually passed in 5 papers, but the results were cancelled because she did not write parts of mathematics. Now, do you have the duty to call parents to inform them? Your child will be writing in this center. Your child will be writing on this day. Your child will be, so that the parents should start preparing maybe transportation of the to such schools. You know, all those things. Is that?
Yeah, I believe that's a duty of parents school. Because even with what we take like exam fee, we do have mock that comes up too, which is done before official exams. Just some sort of acquainting them to the exam system. Yeah. Then now from there, the fact that we are constantly in collaboration with the parents. Yes. We have their original birth certificates. Then after a while, when we are certain everything is okay, we give them back. We give them, and as they are coming, we give them information. That notwithstanding, in our school periods, and we've put in many things in place to facilitate that. We send information, written information home, that this is what is happening for the class 6 students. People, sorry. And then we have a group in a WhatsApp group,
with the parents.
With the parents, we communicate with the parents. Some of them ask or question their worries, and we like answer them. Okay,
that's the duty of the school. All right, madam, because of time constraint, we would be going out of the studio, but then before we go, if you were to talk to your colleague teachers, what would you like tell them to do? Because not all teachers would be that organized during this period. If you were to tell them in a few seconds, because time is not on our side, what would you tell your colleague teachers to be doing at this particular moment?
Fellow colleagues of our noble profession, if there is any advice I will give, looking at the way the curricular program is changing, Cameroon is changing, and probably I believe we are trying to ameliorate our system of education. And probably if we are, or if the curricula is changing, the curricular designers are changing their format of education, is because we want the best. So what I would say is that when you are teaching the child, teach the child to acquire, or teach the child for life. I used to say, don't robot teach the child to pass exams, but teach the child to use that knowledge even after exams. So now that we are preparing for exams, at this moment, if you had not done so, I would advise you better go in for lots of revision, revise and revise and revise, making sure that child does the answer, put the children in exam situation, even in the classroom, test them and see their level, so that you can ameliorate. Do your best to help or remediate those weak ones.
Thank you, madam. Ladies and gentlemen, I love the last section when she says, teach the child for life. Do not robot teach the child, so that the child should only pass the exam. That is your duty. I'll call it in the noble profession. That is your duty to form, that's what we call integral formation, to form the child for life. It is here that we come to the end of this edition of Facts and Realities of Education. Next week, we'll be looking at the candidates. What should the candidates do? It is our wish that we'll have these same candidates here to try to give us what they do in preparation for exams. Madam, thank you for accepting an invitation.
Thank you, Venantius. The honor was mine.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep watching programs here on DBS Television. Next week, we will begin together for another edition of Facts and Realities of Education. Good night. Goodbye, madam.
Goodbye.